Get through.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, we're going to be concentrating on confirming circuit judges here in the Senate this week. That may carry over into early next week. Gina Haspel's hearing before the Intelligence Committee is tomorrow, and I've asked Chairman Richard Burr to come out and give us some thoughts about that. Chairman Burr.
Thank you, Leader. Tomorrow, the Intelligence Committee will hold an open and a closed session on Gina Haspel's nomination. It is clear to most members, if not all members, that Gina Haspel is the most qualified individual that I've seen in the 24 years that I've served in Congress to head that agency. She brings a component of the operations of the CIA of over 30 years worth of experience. She has served in numerous capacities. She has received many recognitions and awards as a CIA officer. The one thing that she brings to the table, though, is she brings a tremendous trust by the employees of the CIA, and she brings a great leadership skill that is displayed today as the deputy director. Now, I know that some have requested that documents that deal with covert action be made public and declassified. That has never happened in the history of the CIA, and it's not going to happen with Gina Haspel's nomination. But we have declassified an unprecedented amount of information that is for members only. They will have an opportunity to review that, but we will process her on as timely a fashion as we can once we've completed the hearing tomorrow. We look forward to putting her in as a permanent director of the Central Intelligence Agency.
Let me just add, under Chairman Burr's leadership on the Intelligence Committee, I concur with what he said about Gina Haspel, but let me just add a note of caution. We've seen how in this toxic political environment that people can experience character assassination without the opportunity to even answer questions and defend themselves. And we hope that those who did that before will refrain and give Gina Haspel a fair opportunity. But I think that the thing that you will see tomorrow that will distinguish our approach from that of some of our colleagues across the aisle is they're going to be living in the past and try to relitigate issues that have been long been resolved, while we're going to be asking about the present threats to the country: Russia, North Korea, obviously China, and other concerns that our intelligence agency ought to be focused on, because what the American people really care about is making sure that the CIA is in the most competent hands possible and is doing everything they can within the law to keep us safe today and in the future.
Well, there was in the April jobs report more good news for the economy. 800,000 jobs have been created since the passage of tax reform. The unemployment rate at 3.9% is the lowest level in 17 years. And the number of job openings listed around the country is 6.6 million. And those are all types of jobs, but another example of another record in terms of what's happening out there in the economy. So we believe that's a result of policies that are pro-growth and pro-jobs. And those are the things that in our agenda we have focused on in these last couple of years, working with this new administration, President Trump. We've generated, with tax reform, regulatory reform, sound energy policy, an environment that is conducive to investment and expansion, and it's paying dividends for the American people, for American workers. As those jobs are available out there, wages come up, and we're seeing wages increase for American workers. All good news for the economy, and something that doesn't happen by chance or happen by accident. It happens because there are policies out there that are creating the conditions that are favorable to economic growth. And as a result of that, we're seeing very favorable results, and I hope that's going to continue. And one final point, the initial reports out of the CBO are that government revenues in the month of April were at a historic high. Never seen that number of revenues before, and again, generated a huge surplus. And I think, again, that's a result of a growing economy, and as the tax reform takes effect out there, I think you'll continue to see those revenues pick up.
Well, the economy is growing at such a fast pace, and the unemployment number is down to a 17-year low. One of the television commentators called that a wow number at 3.9% unemployment. It's certainly what I saw traveling around Wyoming over the last week. There's a confidence and an optimism. And the small business owners there know that government can either create opportunity or crush opportunity based on taxes and mandates and regulations. And we're committed to lower taxes, fewer regulations. That's what we promised. That's what we're continuing to do. The National Federation of Independent Business says that 50% of small businesses in this country are either hiring or planning to hire more workers. So the economy is growing, more people are being hired, and wages are going up at the same time. So people are having more money in their pockets due to increased wages as well as less taxes being paid. And it's because of the fact that we've cut taxes, cut regulations. People are seeing it. We are continuing in this America First economy of a strong, healthy, and growing economy due to opening up opportunities for more Americans and more America's small businesses.
Well, regarding Gina Haspel, she is the most qualified person to ever be nominated to run the CIA. She has the best background, the best preparation. I think she's exactly the right person at exactly the right time, which is why she has this broad base of bipartisan support from individuals who have dealt with the CIA over the 3 decades she has been here. General Hayden the other day said she was exactly the person he would want in the room with the president when the facts had to be put on the table. She will be a master of those facts. She'll be an important part of protecting the country, and it will send a great signal to the people that defend us. The other announcement that the White House will make today, I'm not sure what they're going to announce, but I am sure that the Iran agreement, cynically entered into without the Congress and the Senate approving it, entered into in a way that President Obama assumed every other president would have to stay in an agreement that has done none of the things you would hope to do. It absolutely guarantees a nuclear-capable Iran sometime in the next decade. It did nothing about the ballistic missile delivery system, and their terrorist activity has gotten worse, not better, since this agreement was supposed to put them on a whole new track. I don't know what the president will decide today, but I do know this agreement has not worked. It was not entered into the right way, and it doesn't solve the problems. We don't need another North Korea to deal with a decade from now because we foolishly entered into an agreement that allowed that to happen.
Senator Thune talked about the conditions for favorable economic growth, and that Senator Barrasso talked about the fact that Congress can make or break that economic growth. One of the things we know talking to businesses around the country is certainty, that they need certainty from Congress, certainty within the tax code to be able to make the investments that they know will grow their businesses and grow our economy. One of the best steps toward that certainty that we've provided is the tax cuts that we passed late last year. The fact is more businesses are providing investments into growth, job opportunity, and wages because of the tax cuts that we passed this last Congress. But today, Nancy Pelosi announced that their plan for the next Congress would be to increase taxes if they were to take the majority back. And I think the American people need to know what's at stake. The chance to have a growing economy, more investments, or concerns about whether or not taxes would be increased on working families and businesses across the country. We know that a recipe for economic success is less Washington in their lives. A recipe for a disaster is more Washington taking more dollars out of the taxpayers' pockets. So that's what's at stake as we go forward in the next several months.
Mr. Leader. Thank you. If the United States is pulling out of the Iran deal here, isn't the United States the country that is somewhat isolated if they're the only one withdrawing, or is other countries remain, or is Iran should be the country that's isolated?
Well, first of all, I think we need to wait and see what the president decides to do. But in terms of looking at the agreement, it obviously was flawed from the beginning. Almost none of the Republicans voted for it. It was a terrible deal, as Senator Blunt pointed out. It didn't deal with ballistic missiles. It didn't deal with their, shall I say, their extracurricular activities creating problems all across the Middle East. We'll wait and see what the president announces, but my own view is it's a flawed deal, and we could do better.
You didn't get an update from the Vice President on some of this?
The President's going to address the issue shortly. Yeah.
Now that the President has addressed the issue, says he's withdrawing and also says we'll be instituting the highest level of economic sanctions. There are multiple ways that you could withdraw from this deal. I wonder, are you comfortable, given the briefings that you've had, with the direction the administration is taking and how they will be ramping up sanctions and the timeline?
Yeah, well, what he's going to be doing is laying out where we go from here. And it obviously would involve our European allies as well, and maybe additional steps that we may need to take, some of which may require legislation. But clearly, there's a next step beyond this, and we'll look forward to seeing what he recommends, and to the extent that we need to be involved in implementing it, we will.
Mr. Leader. Do you feel differently about this rescissions package as opposed to going back to omnibus, and do you expect it to come to the Senate floor?
Yeah, my understanding of the rescission package is that it does not breach the bipartisan agreement we reached in the caps deal. If the House is able to pass a rescission package, we'll take a look at it. I believe that's what Chairman Shelby believes as well, so we'll take a look at it and see.
Mr. Leader, last week Senator Schumer endorsed your hemp bill. Have you looked at his marijuana decriminalization bill? And do you have any plans to endorse that?
Yeah, I do not have any plans to endorse legalization of marijuana. It may be good to point out again, these are two entirely separate plants. I hope everybody now understands that. 4 years ago in the Farm Bill, when I put in there the ability to have pilot projects, there was a lot of confusion about what hemp is. It is a different plant. It has an illicit cousin, but which I choose not to embrace. But hemp is an incredibly diversified crop. It could end up in your food, it could end up in your medicine, it could end up in your dashboard of your car. And I think we're going to find that the vast majority of senators think it's time to move on and to allow farmers across America who are pretty excited about this possibility to grow the crop legally.
Mr. Leader, are the ads that Don Blankenship is running at the conclusion of the West Virginia race racist? Are his ads racist?
Well, we're going to find out what happens in West Virginia tonight, and I may have more to say about that tomorrow.
Leader McConnell, if Don Blankenship wins that primary, will you and the NRSC support him in the general election?
Well, we'll wait and see who wins in West Virginia and have more to say about it tomorrow. Thanks a lot.